Is the Bengals season over now that they're 3-5 and 0-4 at home? We'll answer that question. You'll hear from Joe Burrow. Plus, it's reunion week. That and more right now on Enter the Jungle. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller, and this is Enter the Jungle, where you can catch us every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern on the YouTube channel Cincinnati Bengals Talk, weekly on FanDuel Sports Network. We're part of the Big Play Network. And shout out to our sponsor, Garage Beer, our presenting sponsor for today's show. Andrew, you were at the game. I'm sure you had about 52 Garage Beers, having to watch the Bengals loss to the Eagles 37-17, but we already know the score. The Bengals 3-5 on the year, 0-4 at home. We're going to get into the postseason conversation if there's still hope for this season in just a few minutes. But as you were leaving Paycor Stadium, getting stuck in traffic with our buddy Scott, what was going through your mind about the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals?
My mind obviously was I have to get home and start editing videos, James. I mean, that's always first thing on my mind is the work to be done. You know it.
Yeah, that whip that I'm cracking. That's right. Get to
Oh,
editing now.
I'm sure on the broadcast everyone could see it. Everything was deflated. And it was just so great on that day. All those fans, you could feel the stadium just moving from just the whole whiteout. Everyone was geared up. But man, oh man, you always see the walkout. You see it on TV, the iconic escalator, everyone working their way down. It was happening pretty quick. Well, for sure the fumble from Gesicki, but the stadium had pretty much cleared out even prior to that. It was deflating, obviously. Everything that we haven't enjoyed about this team when they've won games was still present in many ways throughout this entire loss. It just doesn't seem to be changing when we're now going into week 9. Like we're halfway through the season. What are we doing?
Wait a second. You were there for the Gesicki fumble?
Yes.
You weren't worried about editing videos. You stayed for the Gesicki fumble all week, ladies and gentlemen. This man's like, oh, I'm going to get out of there early. I don't want to get caught in traffic. You stayed for the Gesicki fumble. I think I left the press box before the Gesicki fumble.
Oh my God.
And you were still in your seat. No wonder you were in traffic. All right.
I was nervously shifting in my seat.
That's right. Nervously. Oh God. These videos are piling up. Anyways, I agree. When I look back at that game, it got away from them in the third quarter, and there's a lot of things. We're going to talk about the defense, major takeaways there. But like it felt like that type of game where Joe was going to carry them and it was going to go down to the wire. And I thought so, really, up until that 4th and 1, that was going to be the case. Obviously, Zach Taylor's taken blame since then. That was a big takeaway for a lot of people. But let's push the conversation forward a bit. While you were in traffic, Joe Burrow was talking, and Joe Burrow was asked about the hole that they're in now. They started 0-3, got to 1-4. Now they're 3-5. When does the hole get too deep to climb out of? Joe Burrow was asked that and offered actual numbers and win-loss projections he thinks they need to get to 10 wins.
You know, I think 10 wins usually gets you in. So we got to win 7 out of 9. That's doable. It's doable. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's always a good sign when Joe Burrow is pausing to do all of the potential outcomes. He was just sitting there doing real math in front of everybody. It was like Jamar Chase when he found out that the Eagles game was at 1 o'clock instead of 4. Joe was working his way to the solution on this one, though. It was like, yo, you caught me off guard on this one. I got to really say, yeah, we're okay. Usually, though, Joe isn't doing math in front of people in real time. What is he doing? He's usually saying, no, there's still a lot of football left, or there is still enough football left to where we've got a shot at this. We've got a shot any given week. But what else did he say during this news conferences? We're not there yet. We're not a good enough team yet, so on and so forth. I'm paraphrasing, but he just did math to figure out if he could even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he was trying to figure out how to answer that question. And early on, he hesitated. He said something and hesitated. And it's because I think he thought he was like, I'm going to say that. And he's like, no, I can't. I'll go the math route. It's like we need to get to 10 wins. And that's a very reasonable answer. They may need to get to 11 wins, certainly 10 in a competitive AFC where they have one AFC win and desperately need as many as they can get if they're going to be in the postseason hunt. All right, call it right now. The Bengals are 3-5, outside looking in on the playoffs. Of course, they have a ton of matchups coming up with AFC teams: two against the Steelers, two against the Chargers and the Raiders before the bye, with the Ravens in between there. Do you think the Bengals make the postseason?
I'm always going to be optimistic. I see the talent on this team. I know there are some things that are becoming more and more apparent that they're lacking. There don't seem to be any real difference makers on either side of the ball, aside from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. T. Higgins not even playing. Like, I get all that, but I think they're mathematically able to get into it. I think this team is capable. What's the spark, though? Is it a change? Whether it's personnel, coaching, is there a change there?
Oh,
No, unlikely, right? It's not going to be Zach. My point is that look what Cleveland just did to Baltimore.
yeah.
It was a quarterback change. You can call it whatever you want, but momentum completely, it was a different energy. I don't know what it takes for the Bengals to get that, but the Ravens can be beaten by the Browns, apparently.
Well, yeah, of course.
AFC's
the Browns
weak.
are fine. They're talented. No, they're talented. That's why I thought it would be ugly when they went up there. And it was ugly, but they won. I think you're clearly calling for Jake Browning to replace Joe Burrow, which I'm not behind. No, I'm just kidding. I think that that was just a testament to how bad Deshaun Watson was as a quarterback this year versus Jameis Winston, a high variance guy who's going to push the ball down the field, but give you a chance. That being said, I get your point, and I get the optimism, and I think they're certainly capable of making a playoff run still because Joe Burrow is playing arguably the best ball of any quarterback. You look at some of these metrics, expected points added, number one, or EPA per play. You look at QBR. He passed Lamar Jackson is the highest, and that's that ESPN metric that measures quarterback play, over 75 QBR. Like he's playing at a high level. And so when you have a quarterback playing that way, I'm always going to be optimistic. But they need some things to change. They need wide receiver to work. That's the spark. They need a wide receiver too when T. Higgins isn't out there. And they have not gotten production from anyone, not named Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, or Jermaine Burton over the past couple of weeks. There's been 4 receivers that have caught a pass in the past 2 games. So the Browns win, and then the loss to the Eagles. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who didn't play against the Eagles, Jermaine Burton, 1 catch, 41 yards. Obviously, it was a big play. Trenton Irwin, 1 catch for 4 yards. They need more out of their wide receivers. They aren't getting it. That's where that spark, whether it's a Jermaine Burton or someone else on this roster, that's where I'm looking. Because it can't just be Jamar and T when T comes back. It's got to be someone else too. And we'll see if this offense can get going and be more consistent. I know a lot of people are focused on the run game. I think that wide receiver 2 spot is big as they look to be more consistent on offense.
And to your point, the talent's there. Is it not putting them, the receivers in this case, in a position to make game-changing plays, in a position to actually make this offense look more and more efficient with or without T? Like,
is the talent there? Is the talent there? I'm asking. Without T.
Right.
Without T.
Going into the season, we would have said yes, I think, fairly confidently. We probably did say yes. Now that we're seeing 8 weeks.
Yeah, I think there was a reason why in most drafts, this year's draft, I will be talking about it too. Spoiler, wide receiver is an important position in this offense, extremely important. Maybe Jermaine Burton can take that next step and be that guy. It doesn't feel like the other guys are ready to do it or have done it. Maybe Andre does, by the way. But the past 2 weeks, 4 targets, no catches, key drop against the Eagles. Doesn't feel good right now for Andre Yosevich. From the offense to the defense, we'll switch gears now and discuss Lou Anarumo's crew. It's even uglier. And, well, can they turn it around? We will discuss that coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller. We're part of the Big Play Network. You can catch us weekly on the FanDuel Sports Network. Also, every single Tuesday at 8 on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, the YouTube channel. And boy, oh boy, this defense They just showed us who they were against the Eagles in my mind, Andrew. They really did. After back-to-back weeks where they hold the Giants to 7 points, you hold the Browns to 14 points, you give up 21 points total, and then you go up against Jalen Hurts and company, and you force one stop, 0 turnovers. That stop is a punt in the first quarter, and you give up 3 straight touchdowns spanning from the second quarter to the third quarter where the Eagles really took control of the game. 0 pressure. They had 3 total pressures on Jalen Hurts, 1 quarterback hit, 0 sacks. I don't know where to begin with the defense other than there. They cannot get pressure right now.
Yeah, where would you begin with this defense? I think let's just go with obvious best player on that defense, Trey Hendrickson. I think if you have a game where he's going to need a little help or a game where he's not playing at an elite tier level, usually you've got enough of a defense that can help rally, support, make plays where they need to in key moments. And guess what? If Trey Hendrickson has an off week, is this the defense we're left with? I don't know. I know Sheldon Rankins. I know BJ Hill. People, they're showing flashes. They're showing promise. They're showing it somewhat come together, if not, even if it's not consistently. But this game, man, it felt like everyone disappeared. The secondary just looked lost at times, blown coverage. I don't even know where to begin. Now we're back full circle. Don't know where to begin. Don't know where to begin.
Well, it's week 3. It's week 3 against the Commanders. Jaden Daniels. It's the same thing. He had all day in the pocket, all day. And Jalen Hurts had all day in the pocket. And you can't do that. That can't be the case. Fred Johnson can't shut down Trey Hendrickson. Sorry, Trey. That's part of being a superstar. It just can't. You can't have that happen. And it did. Shut him out. Can't happen. And if that is going to happen, then you need Myles Murphy to step up, or Sam Hubbard to step up, or Sheldon Rankins to step up, or BJ Hill to step up, or didn't happen. Joseph Osai had the lone quarterback hit. Whoopee. That is my concern right now. As much as you could look at the secondary and all of those things, and they certainly weren't perfect. You got to be able to rush the passer. It's a passing league, and in these high stakes games, when you're on the road in Los Angeles in a few weeks playing Justin Herbert and the game's on the line, you got to be able to get pressure on Justin Herbert. If you're in Baltimore in a couple of weeks and you're playing a week from Thursday and you're playing Lamar Jackson and it's 3rd and 12, what's the key? Finding a way to get pressure on Lamar Jackson, making him uncomfortable. And I don't know that they can do that against these good teams. I just don't. Against these talented quarterbacks, against these talented offenses. And until they show me they can, I'm going to assume they can't. And that part is very, very scary, especially when you talk about a 3-5 team that's trying to find itself, that's trying to find its way into the playoffs. I'm not sure they have the personnel on defense to get there.
I'm not sure either. I'm also not sure really where they go from here in terms of game planning. I think they knew exactly what they needed to do against this offense. And to a certain degree, I'm thinking, oh, they're kind of keeping Barkley at bay a little bit.
They did.
See what happens.
I thought they were solid against Saquon for most of the game. Most of it.
Yeah, it starts to unravel, and then you're gonna get some big plays. But back to my original point, I think if Trey Hendrickson, you're not planning on him getting contained the way that he was, and when that happens, there was no adjustment. I felt like they didn't. This was our plan. We're sticking to it, and this is what happens when you have no pass rush. This is what happens when Trey Hendrickson is Fred Johnson effectively neutralized.
Fred Johnson, revenge game. Never thought I'd say those words. Oh, he should have slammed his helmet down and said, "Y'all never should have cut me."
Yeah.
That's what he should have done. Right into the camera. Maybe he did. Up next, from an ugly week 8 to a must-win week 9. We'll look ahead to Sunday's game against the Raiders next on Enter the Jungle. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller. And Andrew, we're going to see an old friend in a few days on Sunday. We will get to that coming up in just a bit, but it is Raiders. It is Bengals. It is a must win. The Bengals are 0-4 at Paycor Stadium. I'll declare it right now. Plant the flag. The Bengals better, absolutely better win and beat the Raiders on Sunday.
Against the Eagles, we knew that, look, it's not going to be the end of everything if they lose this game, but I wanted to see some signs of life. I wanted to see some improvement. I wanted to see some spark, and I didn't get that. So this is a very deflating heading into a very must-win AFC matchup with the Raiders. Very capable of beating them. Max Crosby's going to be an issue, but yeah.
I don't care. It's going to be a theme all week on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, so go ahead and get ready for it. I do not care. I don't care about Jacoby Myers. I don't care about Max Crosby. I don't care that they still have talent over there, and they do. There's still talented players on the Raiders roster. There's no doubt. And guess what? I don't care. Win a game at home. I'm done with it. I can't believe, and as we're doing this show, it's the end of October. We're talking about a 3-win team that is winless at home at the end of October. I sat with you and Ted Karras before the season, and I said Patriots, Chiefs is the ultimate measuring stick, Commanders prime time at home, and then Panthers. Like, hit the ground running. Going into October, I want to be talking about this show, or on this show, like, they're one of the top teams in the AFC, if not the top team in the AFC through 1 month. They have 3 wins at the end of October. I don't care. You have to beat the Raiders. It doesn't matter. I don't care if they put you at quarterback. They should beat the Raiders. It doesn't matter to me. And that is that attitude, that mindset is going to be the theme. They have no choice. If they're even a halfway decent team, they'll beat the Raiders because this is a must win. Their backs are against the wall, and they're going to be against the wall for the foreseeable future.
I know a win is a win, must win, all that. Is it still I don't care on how they win it? They just need to win it. Is that your stance? I'm just making sure we're clear here.
Yeah, of course. Now,
Okay.
But because honestly, if they beat the Raiders by 50, does anyone feel any different? They could win 500-3, and we would be like, yeah, but it's the Raiders. So it doesn't really matter how you would. I would. Yeah, but it's still just the Raiders. It's Gardner Minshew thrown to Jacoby Myers, and you just double team Max Crosby, and that would be it. By the way, Brock Bowers, my draft crush. Oh boy.
Oh,
Brock
man.
Bowers coming to town. We'll see if it's going to test that defense, man. Oh man. Brock Bowers goes for 180 on Zach Taylor.
I can already see the comments and the replies on social congratulating you if Brock Bowers has a good game.
I mean, he's awesome. Have you seen him? I mean, obviously they weren't going to trade up to get him, but if he had fallen to 18, anyway, I love Amarius Mims. I'm glad that they got him. That being said, you have to win this game. There's no excuses. And if they win 25-22, will I feel great? No, but they just got to get a win. And it's a quick turnaround. You have the Ravens 4 days later. So this is a 5-day stretch that can define your season in a great way. That's how I would look at this. You have the Raiders. It's probably the best opponent that you can have at home right before a division showdown on the road against the best team in your division, for my money, in the Baltimore Ravens. And so you have really 4 days, I guess, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, count the 5th day, right? You're counting Sunday as a day.
Joe Burrow over here trying to do math in front of me.
That's right. But 5-day stretch to completely change your season. You win both of those games, and we feel a lot different, don't we, when we're recording that show ahead of that matchup against LA. So it starts with the Raiders. It's a must win. They have no choice, Mr. Andrew Fox Miller.
Assume the win. It's got to happen. Just, I don't care how they do it. Win. That's where I'm at with it. And health. Maintain that. And to your point, short week. That's the win for me.
Plenty of discussion will be had this week about Bengals Raiders. Obviously, it's a must win. And it's reunion time. We'll get into the reunion coming up next. He's Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapien, and this is Enter the Jungle. It's Bengals and Raiders on Sunday at Paycor Stadium as the Bengals look to get their first home win of the year, and they look to do it and have to do it against a familiar face, associate head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Marvin Lewis will be in town, will be returning to Paycor. He has been back to Paycor since 2018, his last season as head coach, but he wasn't a member of the opposing team. So now Marvin's back. He's a member of the opposing team. He will go into the visitor locker room for the first time, I believe, since 2001 as a member of the Ravens, I would say. So it should be interesting having the most winningest coach in Bengals history, 131 and 122 as head coach, Marvin Lewis back in the stadium.
My biggest question for you, James, is will there be a request to have a press conference with Marvin Lewis? Will Bengals media want that? Prior, leading up to the game, maybe post game as a punishment if the Bengals lose to them for all of us.
As a
to
punishment.
Endure that.
No, I would love to hear from Marvin. I'm sure he's not necessarily dying to talk to the media. They're going through their own things there in Las Vegas. What I could say is, hey, Marvin, how about you hang around in Cincy and you grab Max Crosby, you grab Brock Bowers, and you just keep those guys in Cincy with you and see what he says. He's probably like, I like the weather in Vegas.
He's got a nice little comfortable setup. And meanwhile, us Bengals fans are about as uncomfortable as you can be. So here we go. Yay, Marvin, just bringing the energy to Cincinnati. Thank you. So glad he's coming.
Cue that classic Marvin laugh. Anytime the Raiders get a first down, they should play that laugh. That Dr. Huxtable from The Simpsons laugh.
Yeah, like that joyously yet somehow like maniacal, evil sort of smile, grin on his face. That kind of Grinch grin that he puts out there when he's like, oh,
I love it.
Oh,
Marvin, I hope I see you Sunday. I hope I do. I hope I run into him. I'm going to ask him about an injury update, and I'm going to ask him why he hated my guy, John Ross. For Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Until next time, thank you so much for watching Enter the Jungle.